Great things.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. I would ask everyone to please rise, and Steve Young will lead us in a pledge of allegiance followed by prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, help us remember the people we represent at these meetings and help us make the best possible decisions for these people in the city of Boonville. And also a little rain would help right now. Amen.
Amen. Mary, if you would please call roll. Young.
Here.
Kelly.
Here.
Hurt.
Here.
Beach.
Here.
Livingston.
Here.
Carter.
Here.
Taylor's. Here. Eaton.
Here.
Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is hearing of citizens' comments. If there's anyone here who would like to make a comment, now's the time to come forward to the podium and do that. I've got a lot of people here this evening, but I have a feeling they're here to watch rather than to speak. Okay, hearing no comments, we do have a special presentation to make this evening. It's a presentation of Honorable Service Award to Mr. Matt Frederick, who is here this evening with his family. I'd like to read a letter first, and then I'll ask Matt to come forward and Bob Welliver to meet him at the podium for a special presentation. This is from Chief Bobby Welliver, dated July 16th, 2013. On June 24th, 2013, at approximately 7:30 a.m., Boonville Police Officer Brandon McGee was investigating the theft of an auto and motorized wheelchair when he encountered two suspects in the 100 block of Ashley Road. During the investigation, the suspects fled the immediate area. Patrolman McGee located one suspect and was attempting to make the arrest when he was assaulted by the second suspect. Mr. Matt Frederick came to the aid of Patrolman McGee to assist in the apprehension and arrest of both suspects. Mr. Frederick placed his physical well-being into jeopardy to assist our officer. Patrolman McGee and Mr. Frederick both received minor injuries during the struggle. If not for the fast action of Mr. Frederick, we are convinced that Patrolman McGee's injuries could have been much more significant. Mr. Frederick ignored his own personal safety to come to the aid of a police officer in distress, and we are grateful for his actions. The City of Boonville, along with the Boonville Police Department, would like to recognize Mr. Matt Frederick with the Honorable Service Award for his efforts in assisting Patrolman McGee. That's signed by Bob Welliver. So, Matt, if you and your family can come up if they would like to, come to the podium, and I believe Chief Welliver has a special presentation to make.
I'd like to say a little bit.
Bob, if you could speak into the microphone so the people at home can also hear what you're saying.
That morning I was called and I was able to talk to Matt just a few seconds at the scene. And later in the afternoon I was able to talk to him a little more in length. And if you know Matt like I do, he really didn't think he did anything that special. But for us, you did something special. And we appreciate that you risked yourself to help our officer. Not many people would do that. So for that, we have the Honorable Service Medal that we would like to present to you. And thank you for assisting us with that, Matt. We appreciate it very much.
Very good. Let's line up so your mom can take a picture. Sarah, you want them to line up so you can take a picture? Yeah. Sarah's on her phone.
Yeah.
Everybody got a picture? Well, thank you very much, Matt. Like Bob said, there are a lot of people today that would look the other way, so we appreciate what you did. Approval of the minutes of the July 1st, 2013 council meeting. A draft was in your packet. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, we will accept those as presented. Consent items, we have none this evening. Presentation of accounts and claims. Mary, when you're ready, if you would please read the ordinance appropriating money.
Ordinance appropriating money. Be it ordained by the Council of the City of Boonville as follows. Section 1. For the purpose of paying salaries and various accounts against the City of Boonville, which have been allowed by the Council at the regular meeting thereof on July 15, 2013, the sum of $587,457.71. General Fund, $168,039.08. Sanitation, $31,542.06. CIP tax, $8,401.90. Waterworks, $154,574.47. Capital projects, 0. Wastewater, $196,931.45. Tourism, $7,127.11. Gaming, $20,841.64. Parks, water, 0. Section 2, the bookkeeper is hereby authorized and instructed to draw checks in respective city bank accounts in favor of the persons whose salaries and accounts have been allowed as above, amounting to $587,457.71, being the total amount of money above appropriated. Section 3, this ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage. First reading on July 15, 2013, read for the second time this 15th day of July 2013, since a copy was made available prior to the meeting.
Second reading, title only.
Ordinance appropriating money.
Mark,
Mayor, I move we approve this ordinance.
do I hear a second?
Mayor, I'll second it.
Morris, thank you. Any questions or discussion? Roll call.
Young.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Hurt.
Yes.
Beach.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Ehlers.
Yes.
Eaton.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We'll move along to unfinished business. Item A, second reading of Bill Number 2013-021, authorizing an agreement for professional project management and fundraising services for the Kemper campus with Dr. Marcia Drennan.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, authorizing an agreement for professional project management and fundraising services for the redevelopment of the Kemper campus by and between the City of Boonville, Missouri and Dr. Marcia Drennan, providing an effective date therefore, and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Morris?
Mayor, I'll make a motion this be approved.
Okay, do I see or hear a second? Mark?
Mayor, I second this.
Okay. Discussion? We've been talking about this for some time, so. No questions? Okay, roll call.
Young.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Hurt.
Yes.
Beach.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Ehlers.
Yes.
Eaton.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Item B, second reading of Bill Number 2013-022, establishing disclosure of potential conflicts of interest.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, to establish a procedure to disclose potential conflicts of interest and substantial interest for certain municipal officials.
Do I hear a motion? Morris?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve it.
Noah?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? For people at home, this is pretty much a standard procedure. I believe all cities in the state of Missouri are required to pass this every 3 years, so this is not because of anything that Boonville, Missouri, or our council, or our citizens, or our staff is doing or not doing. This is just something that we have to comply with. Pretty well right? Okay. Roll call.
Young.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Hurt.
Yes.
Beach.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Ehlers.
Yes.
Eaton.
Yes.
Item C, consider resolution number R 2013-07 for annexation of the southern border of the city and Highway 87 corridor.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Boonville, Missouri, supporting a plan for the involuntary annexation of land along the southern border of the city and Highway 87 corridor, and directing the city staff, Planning and Zoning Commission, and various city boards to proceed with the necessary steps to formalize and bring these plans before the council and citizens of Boonville for approval. Whereas, in 2006, the City Council identified the Highway 87 corridor as a priority for future incorporation to 1, maximize the land use along the existing highway corridor for quality residential and commercial development, 2, stabilize the tax base by providing additional sales and property tax opportunities and reducing leakage, and 3, create economic development opportunities while providing appropriate zoning regulation, building and development standards, and infrastructure facilities to adequately serve the anticipated development in and around the transportation corridor closest to Columbia. And whereas in 2008, an involuntary annexation plan of 1,400 acres, including the Highway 87 corridor, narrowly failed on a vote of the citizens and residents of the area to be annexed. And whereas in 2010, the city entered into pre-annexation agreement with Arthur Henry Properties, LLC, and Chelsea Lee Properties, LLC, hereinafter developer, including extension of city sewer along Highway 87, with joint participation of the city and the developer to encourage commercial and residential development at the I-70 and Highway 87 intersection. And whereas the city staff and developer have attempted to secure voluntary annexation of the properties between the developer's property and the city limits without success in securing 100% signatures on a voluntary annexation petition. And whereas the city staff, working with several groups and the Planning and Zoning Commission, have investigated several options for an involuntary annexation project along this corridor that would be effective in meeting the goals of the City Council to secure this access corridor, as well as the goals and objectives as defined in the city's comprehensive plan, including 1, availability of building lots for residential development, 2, providing services for the I-70 transportation corridor users and the traveling public, 3, annexing long corridors with existing infrastructure to reduce cost and duplication, 4, upgrading the quality of future development with modern sanitary sewer facilities, city building codes, zoning standards, and enforcement services, 5, making the southern city boundary more uniform, and 6, creating opportunities for economic development and job creation, both short-term in construction as well as long-term business and residential development. And whereas the Planning and Zoning Commission is in support of the preliminary plan for the involuntary annexation of contiguous properties along the southern border of the city and Highway 87 from the current city limits to the Hale Ridge development. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Boonville, Missouri as follows. 1, that the City Council of Boonville, Missouri has determined that the land proposed to be annexed is contiguous to the existing city limits, and that the length of the contiguous boundary common to the existing city limits and the proposed area to be annexed is at least 15% of the length of the perimeter of the area proposed for annexation as required by RSMO 71.015. 2, that the City Council of Boonville, Missouri authorizes and directs the city staff and mayor to take the necessary steps through the City Council, the Planning and Zoning Commission, the Board of Public Works, and any other applicable advisory committee to finalize the plan of intent and begin formal communications and planning forums with the property owners in the area proposed to be annexed and citizen groups of Boonville. Passed this 15th day of July 2013 by the City Council of Boonville, Missouri.
Mark,
Mayor, I move we approve this resolution.
do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mark. Any discussion or questions? This is something we discussed at the last meeting.
One
Yeah.
question, Windsor, is it Windsor Place? Does that butt right up to that?
No, it does not.
Okay. Because you see that sign as you're leaving town before you get to the interstate. I didn't know where that boundary was.
We're just doing one side.
Okay.
That's a good question, though, because a lot of people will probably ask that same question. Noah?
Can staff speak to, I noticed that in planning and zoning minutes, and again in this resolution, it talks about how this current annexation only goes up to the Hale Ridge development, and I'm assuming Hale Ridge, the airport, and the sliver by the interstate. Is there a reason why we didn't go clear to the interstate?
Yes, there is a mandate that's under state law that says there's certain limitations on the amount of land that you can have in your annexation. You have to have at least 15% boundary, and in the map that I showed at the last meeting, when you look at that exact perimeter, we have 15.9%, so we're right at it. We can't take any more land in. We wouldn't meet that statutory requirement. So this gets us down right to the Hale Ridge development. If this annexation would pass, then the next step would be for the Hale Ridge property and the airport to voluntarily to become part of the city. So it would take us directly contiguous with that next phase.
Do the previous agreements we have with those developers concerning this whole issue, is there something covering an agreement that they've already pre-agreed to do that if we're successful?
Yes, they have.
Okay.
It's specifically in the pre-annexation agreement.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Young?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Hurt?
Yes.
Beach?
Yes.
Livingston?
Yes.
Carter?
Yes.
Ehlers?
Yes.
Eaton?
Yes.
Before we move on to the next item, if you'll recall at the last meeting, there was discussion on what ballot this would be on, whether it would be on the April ballot or the November ballot. And Megan will be speaking to that at this time.
There's another, yes. I got the distinct feeling in this meeting, that the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, and in other discussions following the meeting, that it was preferable to try to get to the November 2013 election, at least for a first run up the flagpole. At first, I really thought that was impossible, but I really kind of readjusted my thinking on it this weekend and tried to say, what would we have to do to make it possible? And it's going to be a little rough for the next couple weeks, but if you all are willing to help me, this is what it's going to require. Today is the 15th of July. In order to meet the statutory notification requirements, we will have to notify the people in the area to be annexed and the adjacent property owners for zoning purposes. Basically, by Thursday, I'd like to have the majority of them hand-delivered, Friday by certified mail for those that we cannot get. We have to have at least 30 days' notice. I then platted out, we will have to finalize the plan of intent. That's basically a job for Earl and I to do. He said he's up for it. So we will have to section off quite a little bit of our calendars over the next 2 weeks to finalize that as is in draft form. Mary will be responsible for getting the notifications in the Boonville Daily News as appropriate for the statutory required notifications of everyone else that's not receiving a letter. I then platted out on here all of the boards and other folks that we need to talk to about this annexation. The next big date will be August 1st. We will need to publish our ordinance for annexation, and that will include the plan of intent, which we were working on. I suggest that we do at least 2 public forums. I've got them tentatively scheduled for the 7th and 8th of August. We will then do a final review at the Planning and Zoning Commission of the zoning plan for the area to be annexed. It's fairly straightforward. We did review it at the Planning and Zoning Commission at the last Tuesday. And then the next big date that I have circled is August 19th. That will be the second reading of the annexation ordinance, and we will have our official public hearing. That's the date that everything's kind of tied to. We will continue to have some board meetings, and I would actually like to talk with Gary and Tim to see if we might be able to call a special Parks Board and Fire Board meeting so that would come prior to the 19th vote, so we can have input from your boards in terms of any fire plans or park plans. I am recommending that we not take a vote at the public hearing. I feel that we get criticized for that because we don't have enough time to contemplate the comments at any public hearing. So I'm recommending that we actually have a third reading at a special meeting of the City Council on August 26th and call for the vote on the ordinance. That is the day before Mary will have to certify the ordinance and send it to Darrell Kemp to get on the November 6th ballot, I believe it is, the November ballot. What's not on this list is we will need to visit civic clubs. We will have Bill Rapp and his cadre engaged, as well as the citizen work group, I believe, that Julie talked about. We will need to get on the radio, and we will need to have interviews with the newspaper. And that's not the royal we, that's we. That's you and me and Earl and Julie. So that's what it's going to take. And I definitely need some help from you all trying to get letters hand-delivered on Thursday and Friday. So if you all can step up to the plate and do that, and if you're willing to commit to help me go to the Public Water Supply Board, District Board, the Fire District Board, the County Commissioners, and all the other groups, then we can make this happen in November for a first vote. If, of course, we are unable or unsuccessful in the area to be annexed to secure a simple majority, then it would go to a second vote, which would be in April. And that's my recommendation.
Any questions or comments, concerns?
Just
Ned?
for Megan.
Yes.
Some of those letters go on the folks that are on Sonia,
Yes.
right? If you'd like me to handle those, I'd be glad to.
Great. I expected that.
You're already signed up for that.
Yeah, you're already on the list. I was hoping you were going to be in town.
I just thought we'd make it public.
Okay. Thank you. That will be a big help. And if there's anyone else that wants to do that sort of thing, I think there's more than enough work to go around.
Yeah, the statute calls for certified mail, but obviously hand delivery is even of a higher caliber of personal service, so we'll make sure that works. I'm sure we won't be able to get everyone hand delivered, so I'd like to try to do that on Thursday if at all possible, and then if we have to do a regular and certified mail, then we can send those out on Friday. But it's pretty critical that we show a good faith effort to attempt to notify everybody as soon as possible, at least within 30 days of that public hearing.
Any other questions or concerns? Everyone comfortable with this schedule?
Nice work.
Okay. Very good. We will move forward. Item D, continued discussion of live broadcast of council meeting via internet services. And this was referred back to Earl from an earlier discussion.
I don't have a lot to report. I'm probably not the right person to refer this topic to. But anyway, we did contact the Municipal League to see if they had anything as an association. They did not. They solicited some comments from member cities that may be on down the line with this, and they got only one response, and that was from O'Fallon, who are actually pretty active, and I'll just read a couple of lines on their response. We broadcast all council meetings as well as board and commission meetings live and on demand, both online and on cable TV. In total, we broadcast hundreds of hours of meeting each year. In short, our policy can be summed up by gavel-to-gavel coverage of all city meetings that take place in our city council chambers. They all also have started working on some kind of a policy manual, and they sent us what they have completed to date, but it was more of a technical thing about who was going to set stuff up and who was going to be the production manager, and it really didn't have anything, I think, that we're interested in at this point. It had some allusions to something down the road, but it's not there yet. So that's the only feedback of that note I have. The other thing, I visited with Jeremy this morning, and he's prepared to speak also in terms of the Ustream product, the advertising, no advertising. I think you went over that last time. You know, the $100 a month one. If you look at that a little closer, I'm not sure that that's not going to be lowballing it, because basically that covers 100 viewer hours per month. A viewer hour is, you know, one person watching 1 hour of a meeting. So if you have 20, 30, 40, 50 people watching it, you can, and then if it goes over an hour, you got more than one viewer hour, and you got more than one meeting a month. So I think your 100 hours, if it's at all successful, is going to get eaten up, and then you have to pay an overage charge, and then the number, instead of being $100 a month, starts escalating up there. The next category they got is $500 a month. Now, I don't know that we approach that in terms of the overages, but that's it. So
That's without the advertising.
That's without the advertising. Yeah, I personally don't. I mean, there's advertising is omnipresent in the world. If you know, we're not forcing anybody to watch this stuff. You watch it on cable TV, there's ads. If you hear reports on the radio, there's ads. In the newspaper, there's obviously ads. So, you know, and every time we click on a little video thing or something on the internet, it's preceded by 20 seconds of something that you got to watch. So, I don't see any big harm in it, but that's your decision, I guess. So that's about all I have. Jeremy, do you want to elaborate on anything?
Well, I think you pretty much covered what I had to say about the the cost aspect of Ustream. I spent some time looking around for other services, and there are a few available that are not Ustream, such as Livestream, and they have a free service also. And then their basic service at $42 a month doesn't really offer us many benefits. You can see on their matrix here that they show we have unlimited ad-free streaming on this service, but their front end is a little bit different, you know, where I believe that you have to log in, the viewer would have to log in on that service, where, let's see, which that would not be beneficial to anyone, requiring, you know, someone to sign up for a service and log in, where these also, you know, there's other ones that have, you know, plans that start at $150 or $125 a month, $500 a month, you know. The services are very expensive because streaming media is expensive to transport, because every user uses a finite amount of resources, where cable, that resource is in use all the time. So, you know, putting a meeting out on it, there's no additional cost. But for these guys, for every viewer they have additional bandwidth costs, additional, you know, they need more computer hardware, et cetera, et cetera. The one that we talked about most would be the Ustream. And it is actually right now the de facto standard for live streaming of all kinds of things, such as meetings and people's educational series and things like that. You know, some universities use their services for things. But as you can see on the matrix here, the first one is free, ad-supported, gives us 10 gigabytes of video storage, which the storage is not an issue. We don't need to be storing the videos. We need to be, you know, broadcasting them. So that really doesn't figure into anything. The recording is not automatic on it. Again, not an issue for us. You can't brand your broadcast through the Ustream free service, which means we can't put a logo on that says this is the city of Boonville. It will still be apparent to the user that they are viewing this through Ustream. Not until you would get into the $500 a month package would you even be able to co-brand it, and you still wouldn't be able to say, you know, we're doing this all on our own. Ustream would still be
co-branding and taking partial credit for providing the service. Not until you get up to $1,000 a month would you be able to brand it as your own service. But the branding issue is really what's around the window as you view it is what the branding would be. You know, the meeting comes up in a window, and as you can see at the top of my screen here, you can see the Ustream logo. That's what the branding would be, is, you know, that kind of logo being on their on the page. At the $500 price point there, that $499 a month price point, they have the embedding on it, which would allow us to do something such as put the video inside a window on the city's own website. Okay, not really needed, because all we need to do is have a link that somebody would click on that would go to the video, the stream. So all these features that we get from spending this more money on this, the biggest feature that we would see would be the removal of advertising. And I dare you to even get on the internet without seeing an ad. So, you know, mitigating advertising at the last step before somebody views the meeting is really, I don't think, providing a very large benefit to the viewer. Any questions?
Discussions or questions? Morris had his hand up first.
Okay, help me out. How would they know this was Boonville Council?
Well, a couple of things. One of them would be, you know, possibly a link in either the agenda or on the website. But the way that are you saying as they're viewing it, how would they know what they're viewing?
Well, not necessarily what they're viewing, but in other words, how would people know where to go and that this was represented? You said that we couldn't get a logo or anything.
Right.
Specifying that this is a city of Boonville.
On that live view, once the meeting has been broadcast live, the Ustream service on the free service, the recording is manual, but that's as easy as clicking a button. Once you set up the broadcast, you click record. Once that recording is done, it can move it over to a YouTube channel if we wish, and it could be stored on a YouTube channel that, you know, could be an official, you know, City of Boonville council, or, you know, council meeting channel, something of that sort. So for an after the fact, or what would be called video on demand, as O'Fallon referred to it, would be handled over YouTube rather than Ustream, which is a free service.
Then I guess my question is, the council meeting has already been on YouTube. I mean, have you had any input, feedback on it?
I have. I think I put the last 4 meetings on YouTube, and the first meeting I put up, I think I had 70 people click on it and view it. Since then, I think it's gone down to 30 to 40 each meeting. So there is 30 to 70 people clicking on it and viewing it. The feedback I had was positive, that one, they like it because they may not be cable subscribers, and two, even if they are a cable subscriber, you get one chance to see it, unless you DVR it or videotape it on a VHS, if you still have one. Whereas with YouTube, you can go at your convenience, anytime, anywhere, at any time, and click on it and view it. And going to what you were saying about how do they know it's Boonville, well, in my case, I clearly labeled it City of Boonville City Council meeting, and then the date. So it could be City of Boonville City Council meeting July 15th is what this one would be, and if you wanted to go see the last one, it would be July 1st, and the one before that. So it's easy to follow, it's easy to just Google it, you know, punch it in and it pops right up. So they know it's Boonville, Missouri, and they know it's our city council meeting because it's clearly defined as such.
And I guess tags after the fact would be a very, very good idea. Tags are words that make it searchable, such as Boonville, Missouri, right. City council meeting, public meeting, things like that. You know, we could easily define a set of tags that we'd attach to those meetings that would help us make it identifiable as official. And now,
I guess my question would be, instead of going live, what advantage would we have going live or putting it on YouTube that it's no cost?
The advantage of broadcasting it live would be people would be getting this information now, today. The way that it currently happens is NOAA has to file a request with the sunshine request.
Well, I just asked Mary, because
right, yeah.
in my case, because I'm the city council, I asked Mary, but if you were a citizen wanting to do it, of course, you'd have to fill out paperwork to get it, and
which, at
they'd
that
have to make
point,
it, and
once he's made the request and it's been okayed, at that point, I then have to gather the meeting recordings that we have stored on a server here, the recordings that we keep. Once I gather those, I have to take those and put those into a video editing platform. I use Windows Movie Maker because it's quick and easy for what we're doing. Splice those video files together, trim off the beginning and the end of the meeting, and then render that into a video file, burn it to CD, and hand it over to either Noah or Mary or wherever it should go. The whole process actually eats up over 2 hours of my time every week.
So you submitted a request on what you've already put on there for
Correct.
sunshine.
it's the only way to get it at this point. And that's why I suggest the city do it, because although the way you're talking, the current situation, where you have to manipulate the data from its current to the form I get it to upload it to YouTube. If we did Ustream and you did the free version, put up with the advertisement like we do on any other news article that you see on the internet, it's free, and then once it has been streamed live, as Jeremy noted, it's easy to just record it, and then it automatically gets saved over to the City of Boonville's YouTube channel. So you take out the step of having him to convert it from its current format to a CD disc and then back to YouTube.
Jeremy, you said you cut out the beginning and the end
Well,
to put it into the format that you are using right now.
Right.
So in essence, you're editing the council meetings.
Well,
Or what
I'm
people
editing the
see.
video files. The way that the meetings are recorded is the DVR, when it's on and recording, records everything into files that are half an hour long. Okay, so if the clock happens to be off a little bit on the DVR, or I have to grab the file that starts at 6:30. I have to grab the 7 o'clock file, 7:30 file, 8:30. I have to grab those files, stitch them together. The meeting ends at 7:45. I then have to find the end of that meeting, drop that off of there, and so there's a little bit of a little bit of manual labor. It's not intensive, but it does take me a little bit of time to gather the files, review them, make sure that I've got the files in the correct order, which is not very difficult, but I do have to make sure that the files are in the correct order. I have to then find the beginning and the end of each of those files, trim that off, and then render it into a video file that's compatible for upload to YouTube. And like I said, the process can take me about 2 hours to go through all those little iterations. Each one of them, it only takes me 10 minutes to go, across the street, plug in my computer, grab the files, and put them onto my laptop. But, that's 10 minutes, I gotta go do that. Then I gotta go sit down on my computer again and spend 10 minutes to, find the beginnings of all the files. It does add up.
So are we paying you to do this right now?
Not really. I mean, it's not anything that I've actually been billing, but it is, using my time.
I think Steve had his hand up a minute ago. Do you still have a question?
Oh, I'm not sure. I'm just kind of wondering how many people would actually use this, if you're looking at 30 to 100. I mean, it'd be hard for me to spend much money if you don't have a large, citizen group out there watching. And
Right.
we do have empty seats here. We have Boonville Daily News here. I don't know. I'd hate to spend a lot of money on it.
I don't think we're really discussing spending money at this point. I mean,
Well,
actually...
that's all figures up on the...
Right, but we're talking about, I think as the discussion is, we're mainly discussing using the free service, and that the pay-for services would be a waste of our resources, as is right now my time rendering these meetings.
So if we use the free service, that would take away this time you have to spend?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mark?
Is there a way that you can track the viewers of it?
Yes, in fact, basic analytics is included in the free package, so that shows you what kind of viewership you have. I'm not sure what all the details of their basic analytics are. I believe it would show you viewers based on geographic mostly, which, I mean, most of our viewers are going to be, in this area, the Midwest area is what they're always going to show. I mean, I don't think we're going to see many viewers from China and stuff,
Well, and I guess that brings up the curiosity of, in that viewership, do we have former residents that are clicking on it, or do we have people that are just searching for some snippet that really have no concern or care about Boonville, but they're just looking for some snippet to be able to then recopy and post somewhere else?
Yeah.
It probably is not that sophisticated to be able to say, well, these came from...
Yeah, I believe that the basic analytics really only provides us with the geographical region of where those viewers are coming from.
So Missouri?
Yeah, it would.
Or the county?
It would actually, most of our internet appears to be coming from Kansas City, where AT&T terminates in Kansas City. So anybody that has an AT&T DSL account, they appear to be from Kansas City, according to the internet. Suddenlink, I believe, appears to be from the Springfield area. If you do a speed test on, I believe it says it's Springfield area. So, those, if we see Kansas City and Springfield, those are really where most of our users are going to appear to be coming from. Outside of those areas, they would be either, people outside of our area, former residents or such, but, I really don't know how much we get on the analytics on. I can certainly look into it and see what the information there is there.
More questions?
Yes, just to clarify, if we went with the ad-free, I realize there's no cost with that. The ad is associated to it, that the viewer wants to see it. Going back to what you said, though, about transferring this to YouTube, if that is part of the plan with that kind of approach, and even to set up the Ustream each time, is that, you said it would require no effort, really, but there is some effort. Well,
that's what I would call overlap or parallel work. I'm here anyways. Any additional work that I do while I'm here is already covered.
Okay.
Bob is here, I'm here. Kate has used the system that we have here several times, and I don't think it would be much of a problem to, once we have a link on the desktop, to click on that link that would, then log us in.
So once the service is there and the procedure is established, it's all part of the evening's work that's done here, including the transfer to YouTube at the end of the session?
That's correct. Because right now that work spills over into my day tomorrow. If I were to prepare a meeting for, the dissemination over the internet, that spills into my tomorrow.
Did I see another question on this side? Ned, did you have
You took care of it.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
No.
To kind of go back to one of Morris's earlier questions too, as far as how citizens will know what they're viewing as the city of Boonville, I think the most appropriate approach would be to have the link on the city's website. So citizens would have to come to our website first, link on it, and then that would take them to the Ustream live city council meeting, and possibly after the live one's shut down, hopefully when you click on the link, it'll then take you to the YouTube page to view maybe one that was recorded yesterday. The benefit to that is I think it will drive more activity to our city webpage. I think that's another added, because I think people are going to go there to view the video anyway, and while they're there, they may see other announcements or something that we currently post on our website. So I think that's an added bonus, that it will drive people to our city website.
Ned?
I move we live stream our meetings for a period of 6 months with the free service, and see what we've got.
So at the end of the 6 months, you would like
A review.
a review of the statistics that he gives?
I second the motion.
Okay. Discussion?
Question.
Becky?
Are we looking at this just being the city council meetings? We're not talking about branching out into any of the
Good question.
meetings
That would be my
beyond here?
motion.
Any
yes.
time his service would be required, which is
public meetings, all public meetings that we have here under the city council, when the city
No.
council's in.
It does not cover, well,
Yeah, only
most
been
of
doing
the
city council meetings,
meetings.
yeah.
He just does city
He
council.
does.
Right, as long as the city council's in session, he's here.
Mhm.
Normally, I think so.
Okay.
Unless I ever decide to take a vacation.
Discussion? We have a motion and a second.
Right, and that would include establishing some sort of simple procedure, so if you weren't here,
Right.
then somebody could say, oh, yeah, this is what I need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. The procedure for it will be very simple, and it's going to be, there will be a link on the desktop and the computer in the back there, and, with the password written down somewhere, there's something that sort of really shouldn't be too complicated to set up.
Noah?
And I think too, if staff so chose, just sitting here, I just did a quick Google and of other cities that do it, in St. Joe, Independence, Jefferson City, Lee Summit, and I've been on almost all of these websites, and I believe I have seen protocols in writing on their website. So you may research that, and maybe we could come up with a protocol ourselves. It's pretty simple. Or what do they say? Stealing, it's a good form of flattery.
So are we going to limit it to city council, or if staff would like to use it for, let's say, to publicize some of these meetings, do we want them to have the ability to do that? Or during the 6-month period, or do you just want city council?
Well, I think it should definitely be city council, and as beneficial to the purpose. I mean, if you're having a public forum and you want to have the public get the message, then you could go ahead and stretch it out, but I don't know that we really want to make that required. That's just an extra possibility.
Okay.
If I may, either Mr. Beach could redo his motion, or I can make an amendment to the motion, but I would suggest something to the effect of all city council meetings for sure, and at staff pleasure beyond that for the first 6 months.
Okay.
Because that way it opens the door for any, like this, the public
Okay.
meetings.
Let's clean it up and go back to, would you two mind withdrawing your previous motions and redoing it?
I withdraw it.
Withdraw.
Okay. Would you like to make a new motion?
I move that we live stream all of the city council meetings and make the service available to any other public meetings or committees at their discretion to use the service as well.
At the city staff's.
At the city staff's discretion. Thank you, Julie.
I second that motion.
Okay. Now, any more discussion? Roll call.
Young,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
Livingston,
No.
Carter,
No.
Ayers,
Yes.
Eaton.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. We will have a 6-month trial period. New business. We have no new business today or tonight. Reports of standing committees. Parks Board, Morris.
You all got the minutes of the park board, and the only thing we had on the agenda was tabled, so there's nothing new to report.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I have got a question for the park board. I go through the park quite a bit, and I noticed the other day we have a new fencing up on the west side of this. What's the purpose of that, and who made that decision?
That was requested by Babe Ruth for the regional tournament
Is there a reason?
to keep the gawkers off the street.
Well, those are our citizens, and there's a bunch that are there every night, and they're elderly citizens, and I don't think that they're there because they don't want to pay. That's the best view of the park.
Yeah.
Sometimes I go over there and I sit there. It's just a good view.
Primarily for the Midwest Plains Regional Tournament.
Years ago, I remember we had something like that come up, and eventually it came back down. I would suggest that
it's not my intention to leave it up there permanently.
Well, the other thing, there's a handicapped young lady that comes out with her dad in the van,
and that's where they park, and she views from there, or they view from there. I just, you know, I don't think they're gonna make that much more money off of it. There's only probably 6 or 8 cars less down through there, and I'd like to see it come down tonight.
Noah?
I tend to agree with Henry. You know, I think I understand why they're doing it, but I kind of agree that the minimal amount of money that they're actually going to make by not allowing somebody to park there and view the game is, I think when you weigh that against the sort of, well, for the lack of a better term, slap in the face of the people who've been doing that for years, for whether it's handicap purposes or whatever it is. It's just...
We do have handicapped parking spaces inside the ball field too, so.
But not with that view.
Well, not with that view, no.
Council want to do?
Make a motion.
Morris?
Gary, who made that decision, you or the?
It was, the request was made by Babe Ruth, and I basically made the decision.
Well, I mean, in your opinion then, are we doing any damage if we decide to take it down?
If you guys tell me to take it down, I'll take it down tomorrow.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that it be removed.
I guess I'd like to see it first. Not sure.
Can you talk
It's
about it a little
basically
bit?
what the Babe Ruth Baseball Organization, I purchased windscreen, and Saturday they had a work day out there and they installed it along the fence along Parkway Drive, basically from the concession stand on Twillman Field out down the third base line, approximately 300 feet. But, you know, the windscreen that I bought was the cheapest that I could find, but it's also something that we can use someplace else. So, you know, if you guys direct me to take it down, we'll take it down tomorrow and I'll roll it up and store it, and we need it someplace else, we'll put it back up.
So when's the tournament? When's the tournament?
It begins August the 2nd.
Noah?
You know, you've heard me say this before, Gary. I'm not really a micromanager, and I hate to micromanage. So what I like to know is, you made the decision. I mean, what could you tell me that would make me understand why you made the decision? Not to put you on the spot, but just to better understand the situation.
I kind of understand where they're coming from, in that you have, and it's not a lot of people, and it's not a lot of lost revenue, but at the same time, you have 15 to 20 people that sit out there every night. Babe Ruth Baseball doesn't charge but a couple of bucks a head to get in to watch the ball game. I can understand their perspective of it because it's a lost revenue source for them. I can understand the perspective from the handicapped individual that, you know, may sit in the van and watch the ball games, but we also have spaces inside the ball field where that individual, we could wheel them up behind the bleachers. We've had other handicapped persons that have done that before. And the folks that do come out there respect them and don't sit in front of them or block their view. You know, the fact that for over 30 years there was some sort of a screen put up along that fence every year. I just made a decision, you know, right, wrong, or whatever. They requested it, and I went with it. So, you know, if somebody gets yelled at, it's going to be me and nobody else.
Well, I certainly wouldn't yell at you or second guess your decision. I just think, like Henry said, I think just as a city park.
I can tell you that with the girls tournament coming up, you know, we're going to play the 8Us on the Little League field. They had asked me if they could do something similar. I told them if they put it up. So, you know, if the council takes some type of an action tonight and directs me to remove the ones on Twillman, then it should also include a prohibition for the Little League field. So we don't,
Go ahead.
for fair treatment all the way around.
So is it that hard to take it up and down? I mean, can you just have...
It's up with zip ties.
Can you just
The
have...
hardest part's gonna be getting it down the hill and rolling it back up.
I mean, can it just be put up for the tournament?
It's up
That's
now.
what it's-
Right.
that's-
I mean, can you, I guess, take it down and put it back up for the tournament, the August 2nd tournament?
You know, to be very honest with you, it's not gonna break my heart if you guys tell me to take it down.
We have a motion to that effect, so I'm looking for a second at this point.
Second.
Ned seconds it. Further discussion or questions?
Just
Yes.
a quick comment. This is, to me, it's a pretty simple question. It's a question of whether or not we serve the citizens of Boonville or we serve the Babe Ruth League. I want to do everything I can to support Babe Ruth and kids' sports, and I've talked that subject 100 times. But this is a citizen of Boonville issue. And as a citizen of Boonville issue, we're getting in the way of our citizens being able to enjoy that park. I don't think it's a no-brainer for me.
Okay. I believe, don't they also receive funding from either local agency or?
Could be tourism.
Tourism.
I don't know
for
if
this.
that particular tournament
Yeah.
got any money, but I know that they do.
Okay. Any other questions before we take roll? Roll call.
Young,
No.
Kelly,
No.
Hurt,
Yes.
Beach,
You need to understand what yes says. Yes says to take it down?
Correct.
Yes.
Livingston,
No.
Carter,
Yes.
Ayers,
Yes.
Eaton.
Yes.
Okay. The yeses have it 5-3, is that correct, Mary? So Gary,
It'll
you
come
know what
down.
you'll be doing tomorrow
I
morning.
know.
Another thing, he took responsibility. He said he did it.
Yeah.
That takes a good man to do that. We need to respect that. I'm glad that you did it, Gary, and I thank you for being honest. Thank you.
Well, and I don't think we need to be burdened with making those kind of small decisions. So Gary
No.
makes those kinds of decisions all the time. But I think it's a good point, if someone does have a problem with it and we feel it's a problem, then we should address it also. So,
Madam
thank
Mayor,
you very much.
I have
Yes,
another
Mel?
question about parks.
Okay.
Just wanted to also thank you for getting those cameras up in Lions Park. I did wonder if you had posted any signs anywhere letting the citizens know they're under surveillance.
Not yet, but we're having them made.
Okay, all right. Well, I appreciate that. I know I've talked to you about that probably since the first time I was on Parks.
Mhm.
I think it's a great idea. Hopefully it'll curb your situation there.
But it's working so far.
Good.
Was there another comment, Steve? Did you have
No.
another comment? Okay. We'll move along to Board of Public Works. Councilman Heaton.
Our meeting got canceled because of lack of quorum, which I hope will rectify this evening.
Okay, very good. Item C, Planning and Zoning Commission, Councilman Beach.
I was out of town. I say thank you to Megan for setting it up so that if I could hear it, I could have called in. Unfortunately, I wasn't where I could do that. You can read the minutes. I think it's kind of a repeat of the great descriptions and informations that are on Megan put out before, so thank you.
Any questions?
A
Yes.
question that was kind of relates to not just this board and the last one that didn't have a quorum, but when you said earlier, Megan, that you have a schedule ahead of us with things falling in place for a November election, you have certain boards in there. I assume those boards need to be held and quorum needs to be found before that date to be able to get what you need from each of them?
Preferably. Yeah, I work real hard with the department heads, and they do too, to make sure the word goes out, and we try to get it out in advance warning that everybody knows this is a really important meeting, so we can have good discussions.
Thanks.
Tourism Commission, Councilperson Ayers.
Tourism has been pretty busy this summer. The Big Money and Peddler's Jamboree, both were very successful. Both groups felt very good about the attendance. There's a few changes going to take place. Holly Peterson, Executive Director of Missouri Preservation, has accepted a job with the Frederick Hotel, so they will be seeking a new spot, a new person there, but they're going to maintain the office space at the current time. Tourism Director Lisa announced that she's accepted a part-time position with the Boonville Public Schools, but is still going to continue her position with the city. The sales through tourism, with all the people that are coming through, and we've noted there's people coming from other countries and other states. The sales of the items down there are going very well. They're going to add a couple of Boonville T-shirts along with the Katy Bridge items. But the minutes are there. There's quite a bit going on.
Any questions? Noah?
No, I will have a comment. I was actually doing an audit in Holton, Kansas, and the owner of the insurance company that I was auditing had made reference that he'd visited our town, stayed at Hotel Frederick, and while we were having lunch together, the town, it's a very small town, in fact I think it's 1,300 people, I think he told me. While we were sitting there having lunch together, the town banker walked by, and he had made mention that I was from Boonville, and he lit up and said he had just visited Boonville riding his bike between Rocheport and Boonville. So it's kind of strange, you know, a lot of places I go, I bump into people that know about Boonville. So tourism, I don't know if anybody, I guess they're not in the, oh, there's Kate. So they're doing a really good job. They're getting the word out. And, it's pretty amazing that far away, because Holton's about 45 minutes north of Topeka. So you're looking at 3 hours away, probably 3 to 4 hours away from here, and yet they come here regularly. Enough that the gentleman that stayed at the Hotel Frederick knew all of our antique stores in town and made reference to them.
Hey, that's even better. Okay, thanks for that, Noah. Reports of city officials, city administrator.
I have nothing.
Mayor, I did leave at everyone's place a memo that I have received a resignation letter from Butch Frederick, who served on the Board of Public Works for a number of years. He cited a need to spend more time with his family, and he's going to be out of town more, and his resignation is effective immediately. So I'd like to appoint in his place Kathy Lang, a resident of Boonville, to fill his vacancy effective immediately. With your approval. Noah?
I make a recommendation to accept this nomination.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Becky. Roll call.
Young?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes?
Hurt?
Yes.
Beach?
Yes.
Livingston?
Yes.
Carter?
Yes.
Ayers?
Yes.
Keaton?
Yes.
Thank you very much. City Councilor, Megan, do you have anything?
The only other thing I'd like this evening, Madam Mayor, is for the council to officially set the public hearing for the annexation on August 19th.
So moved.
2 days?
Pardon me?
Wasn't there 2 days?
I only need you to set the hearing, the public hearing for the annexation, so I can start putting that in the letters. You'll get it officially in the ordinance published on the 5th, but I would like to be able to announce that to the property owners in the letter, so if you can officially have that on the record to set the hearing for August 19th.
Okay. Ned, did I hear you make a motion? Do you want to flesh it out a little bit? With
Yes.
some dates and times?
August 19th, public hearing. Thank you.
7 o'clock.
I think the flusher is right over there.
7 o'clock?
You got a council meeting?
Yeah, council meeting.
It is a council meeting. Yeah, that'll be the second reading, not the third reading.
That's correct.
On the 19th.
Okay.
You got enough of that for that, Mayor?
Okay, and Mike seconds it. Everyone understand what we're doing? Did you have a question?
You want to have a public hearing, at the beginning of the council meeting?
Council meeting,
Okay. I
Yes.
didn't know if we was going to have it earlier, or...
yeah. That's the intent. Okay, roll call.
Young?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes?
Hurt?
Yes.
Beach?
Yes.
Livingston?
Yes.
Carter?
Yes.
Ayers?
Yes.
Keaton?
Yes.
Thank you. City Clerk, Mary, do you have anything?
Yes, I have one announcement. I just wanted to let you know that the Local Agency Funding Committee will hear presentations from all the applicants on Monday evening, July 22nd, beginning at 6 p.m. They will be held here in the council chambers. Anyone who's interested is invited to attend. We have I've received applications from 13 applicants, so we'll have the hearings from 6 until 8 o'clock. So, and then they will go into their meeting and make their final decisions.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Miscellaneous. Becky?
Do we need to go ahead and set August 26th as a special council meeting for the third reading?
We can, but we have a little more time on that because that probably will not have to be in the letter, is that correct?
That's correct. That'll be part of the ordinance that we propose. So unless you want to change it from some other date or time other than the 26th at 7 o'clock, we can firm that up at the ordinance, but it will come as part of the ordinance on the August 1st publication.
Okay.
So if you want to check calendars, that's fine, but otherwise...
Everybody okay with letting that ride until a meeting down the road? Okay. Any other miscellaneous? No. Okay.
I noticed there was a letter in our packet concerning the pool hours. So I guess I got a twofold question. One, has the citizen been answered or spoken to by anybody from the city? And two, he took the time to write this letter to us, so I just thought maybe you should...
I have not responded to it.
Okay.
It wasn't directed or addressed to me specifically. I can, but that's up to Earl.
Yeah, again, it kind of falls under, I've said it many times here, the last thing I want to do is micromanage your department. That's you. So or Earl, obviously it's your decision, you can answer it, but I certainly think, me personally as a member of the council, I'm not going to overrule your pool hours, because obviously you've got a theory why it should be that way. So I think somebody just needs to get back to the person and just my opinion. Okay.
Any other miscellaneous? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are